Thank you, Mo, for joining me on this interview. And for the people who are watching, would you please tell us who you are, where you are from, and what instrument market do you actually trade?
First of all, thanks for having me. My name is Mo. I'm originally from Vancouver, Canada. I've been in Dallas for the last 2 years,
Oh, nice.
just trying to expand my business. But I've been trading options, which are derivatives of stocks, for the last 5 years.
Oh, okay. So, the question I always like to ask everybody: what got you into day trading in the first place?
So, around 2020, COVID happened,
Mhm.
and I was running a business in Canada and India. And when COVID happened, it was an immigration business.
Okay.
We had to shut it down. So as I was searching for remote work, because most of the work was closed up at that point, I
Right.
saw an ad for learn how to make $5,000 with $200 remotely through options trading. Now, I knew stocks a little bit, but I didn't know what options were. It's kind
Right.
of felt like a scam, to be honest. So I clicked on the person's profile, seemed legit. They had like reviews. So I took the course, didn't really understand anything, sent them a DM. They're like, you know what, join my Discord, got in. And because it was COVID, I had nothing better to do. So I was spending like 8 to 10 hours every single day's weekend included, just trying to learn uh, because once I was in his Discord, I saw how much people were making. I saw people making seven figures trading options around COVID. And the first 6 months were a struggle because my focus was I need to learn how to trade. What I didn't realize, it has nothing to do with technical analysis, it has everything to do with your mindset. Most people were losing not because they don't know what they're doing, it's because they're either greedy or fearful. This stuff creeps up later on. The first initial part, you're just trying to learn. And then as you start making money and start losing money, your
Huh?
emotions are going to start pop. If you
Right.
don't catch it early enough, it's going to turn into big losses.
So, how long did it take you to actually go from that point of or discovering option trading to actually becoming a profitable trader? And what was the journey look like?
So all this is going to be interesting. I started making money the same month. So I was profitable because COVID was such an easy market.
Okay.
Um, the government, the Fed was buying, there was quantitative easing happening. So if you bought calls and were patient, you would make money. It was like a no-brainer thing to do.
Okay.
What I wasn't was consistent. So I'll give you an example. I would take an account from $500 to 20K and then blow it up
Okay.
because I would get greedy. So I'll
Right. Right.
I'll go in detail. So what I would tend to do is figure out where I can make the most amount of money. So I would say Apple will go up this week. Instead of saying Apple's going to go up within this month, so I have time, I would say this week. And then if it didn't happen, I didn't give myself enough time to be right, the entire account would blow up because I was taking all or nothing, put all my money in. So I was profitable, but I wasn't consistent. I would say it took me about a year to be consistent, not just money wise, just mindset wise too. Like I'm talking about having mood swings where you're so happy, like almost euphoric for a week, and then you're like depressed for a week. So
Right. Right.
even in that situation, if you're making money, you don't feel like you've achieved anything because you know you're at the same point. You got lucky once and that's how you're making money, but I would say about roughly a year.
Okay. 1 year. Okay. Yeah, basically common amongst day traders. It took me more than 4 years to become profitable. And as you said, I knew how to make the money, but mindset wise, I didn't have any clear plan. Either I'm gonna be, I mean, I was scared to take trades, or I'll be staying on the market too long. And then I blew so many accounts. And then I had days where I was green like $1,000 or $2,000, and I wanted more. I wanted to reach three, four, 5,000, and the next thing you know, break even, and then I went into a red. So, from your experience, why do you think most people actually fail when it comes to day trading? I know you said you talk about mental and technical, but what do you really think is the most contributing factor for them to fail?
So I'm gonna start by saying that day trading has a success rate of 9%. So 81% people fail. These are not my stats. You could chat GP. That's a pretty bad number. So 3 years ago, I decided I don't want to be a day trader. I want to be a swing trader because
Mhm.
majority of the moves in the market happen after hours. That helped me a lot. That helped a lot of people I brought in and taught. But to answer your question plainly, one of the biggest reasons why people lose in this market or any market is because they don't plan for downside. Give
Okay.
you an example. If
Mhm.
you ever listen to a new trader, an amateur trader, they'll always tell you how much they'll make if they're right, but they don't even know how much they're going to lose if they're wrong and what the plan for that is. So
Right.
most people lose because they don't know how to lose professionally.
Right. Yeah, there is a saying that goes in the trading community. Being a day trader isn't about making the money. It's about not losing the money. So if you just master that concept of, yeah, we are always going to lose money. Like nobody can say I'm going to be 100% correct, like most of the time. But you make money when you manage your downside. So for me, for example, I always like to manage my risk. I have like a 2 to 1 profit to loss ratio, to where every trade I'm taking, I need to make I need to make 2 times what I'm risking. So if I'm risking $400, I need to make $1,000 on that trade. And if I cannot see a clear path to that, I'm not taking the trade.
Yeah, so I have something called an A plus setup that's 3 to 1 risk reward ratio. And then anytime I make content on that, I get a lot of hate because people will be like, oh, this is so easy. Why are everyone losing? It's easy because you follow it. It's hard because it's so hard to find setups with 3 to 1 risk reward ratio. So what most people are doing is if they find one, they'll take it, but they're also taking really bad setups.
Right,
They end up blowing, they don't end up blowing on those A plus setups because they will get them stopped out, but they end up blowing their account on those, negative risk reward trades, which they don't even know they're taking.
right. So what was the most amount of money you lost in a day or in a trade?
It was $40,000. I can even give you the date. It was July 26, 2020. I did not plan for downside. I took an account to from 500 to six figures, and it was all into tech. So in my head, I'm thinking I'm diversified because I'm in Tesla, Netflix, but
Huh?
I'm 100K in tech, not diversified. So money started moving from tech into banks and all that. I just watched the money go because in 2020, our mentality was if it dips, just buy more.
Right,
I was already all in. I'm like, I'll just be patient. I still had a month, but in options, an extra month doesn't do anything if the market has like a sudden drop, which is what we saw that day. And yeah, it wasn't that day that I lost the most. It was the following days, but that was the biggest one day loss because I lost confidence and I started revenge trading, reckless trading, did all the things that you shouldn't be doing.
okay. And how did you recover from that loss?
Okay, so number one is you have to take a break. You can't just sit here and say, I'm gonna trade my way out of this. That's take a break, so take time out from trading. Number two is you need to forgive yourself. Most people, most humans, we're very hard on ourselves.
Mhm.
I say that, the way a lot of people talk to themselves, if they talk to their friends, they wouldn't have any friends. So you
Right,
need to be able to forgive yourself. Say, you know what, I messed up. I understand. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to put rules around that this doesn't happen again because we all have limitations. And then the third thing you do is you focus on the process and you take all the emotions out. Look, all three are super hard. And I could tell you do all this. It took
mhm.
me a while to fix it. Slowly, slowly, slowly. It's like working out at the gym. You're not going to grow um, muscles in a week and a month. Sometimes, based on different body patterns, habit could take a year. So it takes time.
Okay. And then what was the most amount of money did you make in one day or one trade?
Okay, so I'll tell you what that trade was too. I bought Amazon calls for $800. They ended up going to $28,000, and this was around COVID.
Okay.
So, and I had multiple contracts, so that was the most amount of money I've made. 2020 was probably the best year. Now, I would say 2025 would be even better because of the volatility we have. If you can just not be emotional and not be bullish or bearish and just kind of play the setup you have, that's you can make a lot of money.
Okay. And what was your total profit for 2020?
I don't like I can tell you in terms of percent, I never give amounts. Even if you go on
Okay.
my Instagram, like I posted a 200% profit, I'll always talk in percent. Like to stay low key. That probably one of the reasons why my follower count is low, because I don't like to post any of that stuff. But um, I would say about 482% for 2020.
Okay, nice. So if there is someone that's wanting to start day trading today, right? What would be your best advice to give them, and how much money do they need? I mean, to actually start.
So, if someone wants to start day trading today, I would say figure out what your why. If it's money, um, I would say maybe go dig deeper because there's always something bigger.
Right.
Because most people get into this because of money. They saw someone post a big screenshot and they get in for that, and then they realize it's a lot more than that.
Uh-huh.
The second thing that you asked was how much money you need. Look, the more money you have, the easier it gets. And I know this sounds crazy to a certain extent. I think if you start with 500, it's a lot harder. But if you go, a good range is 2 to 5K because you can manage your risk a lot better when you
Uh-huh.
have a little bit more. So I would say $2 to $5,000.
Okay. And then what are the steps they need to take? Like, let's say somebody calls you and they say, "Oh, I have 5K." And what are the steps I need to take for me to go from where I'm at right now to become profitable? Do I need to start with courses or do I have to jump in or add on?
I'll tell you how I do things. So I do a mix of everything. So the first thing I do is make them go through courses, understand basic fundamentals, and that's good. Technical analysis, awesome. I think a lot of people are very aware that they need to know that, but I
Right.
think a lot of people think that's all they need to know. I think technical is maybe 10%, and I call me crazy. I don't think it's more than that, um, because news will trump charts. And a lot of people can bias technical based on what they're thinking. Very easy. You can
Right.
change different time frames and make it biased based on what you're thinking. After they're done that, I do one-on-one coaching with them and maybe get them to do 2 weeks of paper trading. And then I would say the first 60 to 90 days, they have their training wheels on where they're going to get homework. They're going to have to do a lot of research and preparation. And I would say after 60, 90 days, they can jump in and start doing more of their own trades.
Right. This is the mistake I did make in the beginning when I got started back in 2018. I put 1,800 of my savings into the market thinking I was just going to learn as I go, and I blew it within a week. So why do you think paper trading is so crucial for a beginner?
I think paper trading is only good to understand the brokerage and how the operation works. It doesn't do anything in terms of setting up your mindset because you're not emotionally connected to the money. You know it's paper money. It's good to do broker. It's good to learn the operation part because once you start trading with real money, the last thing you want to do is mess up or screw up because you don't know which button to click
Oh,
because that's gonna mess up with your psyche too. So it's I think that's the only purpose. Understand the operation of your brokerage and how the process works. Other than that, you can test a few theories like seeing if this risk reward work or not. But when you start trading with real money, most of the times when you're new, you could know everything about technical analysis, but you're going to find a lot of time your emotions are going to take over. Like that's why people see most people don't cut their losses not because they don't know where to cut. It's because they have that little hope that it's going to bounce back. That's
right.
it. I can teach you everything today, won't take me an hour, but I can't give you the confidence to exit. That's going to come with repetition and time, and that paper trading doesn't do. So it's more reps, less trades, more time, and small position size. That's how you learn. People do the
Right.
opposite. They'll buy less time, heavier positions, and they want to micromanage. They're up 200. Let me do some.
Mhm.
Most good positions are going to manage themselves. Just set your alerts and then sell there. But people want to micromanage because the way our brain works with how schooling system works, how jobs work, the more hours you put in, the more money you make. But with trading, it's the opposite. The more hours you put in terms of trading, the more risk you're adding to yourself and over trading, essentially.
Yeah, this was me. Like up until last year, I was thinking, okay, the more I stay on the market, the more opportunities that I'm gonna have. I was always thinking in terms of dollar amount, how much money can I make today? How much money can I do? But every day is different, right? We may wake up. I trade mainly small cap stocks, and I focus on the top gainers. Like not every single day we have stocks with breaking news that's gonna give
Yeah.
you that 50 to 100% move. Some days we have stocks that only up 20%, right? And I was taking every stock the same way. I was trading all of them the exact same way. And emotionally, I had the hope. I will go into a trade. I know for sure my max loss is 10 cents. But then I'll be down 10 cents or 12 cents or 15 cents. Instead of me just cutting my loss, I'm gonna be hoping for a bounce. Okay. Either I'm gonna average down or I'm gonna be hoping for that stock to bounce. And the next thing you know, I was supposed to be a $500 loss turned to be 1,000, 2,000, even 3,000, and now you are frustrated and you are now getting into revenge trading. Mindset and controlling your emotions are very, very crucial. Trading is a lonely business, right? I was a victim of it. I mean, I wouldn't say victim, but I was trading in the past by myself. I didn't have anybody around me that was day trading. Do you have a community of people that you trade with, or do you have people around you, friends and family, that trade with you that makes it much easier for you to go with those
So
things?
I think entrepreneurship is a lonely game. I think trading's even more lonelier because you can't go tell your wife that you lost money today, and all she's gonna think, or your partner, this man's been spending 40 hours a week and he gave our savings back.
Right.
I don't blame them, right? So I've always traded in a group. My only problem with these Discord groups, I have one too, is they create FOMO, and then
Mhm.
they create this feeling of comparison. I made 5K. I should be happy. No, I'm not happy because I saw you post $50,000 profit screenshot. So one of the things that I do is in my Discord, I have a cap of 50 members. I don't take more than that. I don't have an open group. It's based on when I have spots open, I'll interview people, show them exactly what I do, and then we decide if this is going to work for us or not. I work with very serious people, professionals, doctor, lawyers, accountant,
Mhm.
people that are serious. I do not work with people that are looking to make $1 million overnight, or they're here to make quick money. I've had people in interviews that are like, yo, Mo, I have an SBA loan for 50K. I'm just going to copy paste your trades. I don't take them. If you are in this to make money, you're probably going to lose more money than you're going to make. If you are here to understand the process first, you're going to make money. And there's a reason for that. I'm not just saying shit out of a book.
Mhm.
Money in trading will often reward the wrong behavior. Example, you went and played lotto or earnings. You end up making 10K. You think you now know how to play earnings. So you're going to keep repeating it until you blow your account. So
Mhm.
I'm very careful. And so the people that we have, it's all business. And I'm being completely honest, we're not joking around. We're not like saying Tesla up, Apple down. It has to be, okay, Tesla's up. What does that mean? Tell me. Like, do you have the charts? Do you have the level? Most groups I've been like the biggest group I was part of, I was an admin, had 20,000 members. You would see like 200 messages if you went to a washroom for 5 minutes. There's no like level of sincerity. So that kind of stuff I avoid. But to your point, like if there's someone looking out, they don't have to join me. I would say find people that are like-minded, that are there to help you, and they understand like how hard this is. And it's more so a support group rather than a FOMO group. As long as that's happening, A plus, you should do it.
Yeah, that helps a lot, especially on the days where you lose a lot of money, right? My biggest loss ever was last year. I lost 42 grand in a week. Um, I know for sure people around me that don't trade, if I go tell them, oh, I just lost 40 grand this week, um, most of them wouldn't understand me. They would think I'm either stupid or they'll
Yeah.
be like, because for the most part, 40 grand could be maybe 6 months of the salary. And if I didn't have that support system of trader that I trade with, that I could talk to, and that could, because if I call you and say, Mo, I just lost 10,000 yesterday, you are going to understand me better than a friend that doesn't trade at all. And having that support system helps a lot because I was so ready to quit and to give up. And I talked to a few friends. I don't know if you know Timothy Sykes. He talks about when he lost almost half a million in the early 2000s. And listening to those stories and how they recover from those losses helps a lot, right? These people are virtual. We don't hang out. I don't meet with them, but we talk often and we know each other pretty much well. And that truly helps a lot. And talking about people around us that don't necessarily trade and don't really understand much about day trading, how do you go about day trading and how do your family and friends perceive you when you tell them I'm a day trader?
So, you're asking a very good question. Maybe four people around me know what I do.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. My life and my business are two separate things. Once I'm in my office right now, once I leave, I have zero emotion. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm just normal, right? I don't ever talk about how much money I made. I never talk about how much money I lose. The problem I've noticed, especially since I've been in Dallas, I have a lot of clients here. So I work with small funds. I work with financial advisors. I meet them one on one. Those are the people that know what I do. But if I meet a friend, I just tell them I'm in finance, because what ends up happening when people do find out, they start asking me what stocks to buy, when to buy, and they're not interested in learning majority of the time. And the few that are, when I do send them information, I always tell them, instead of asking me what, here's how. Once you've done, let's say, 2 hours of this, we'll talk. But majority of the people have never finished that 2 hour. So I'm very careful, because I realize if I start leaking this life into outside life, all my conversations are going to be about trading. And that's not fun for me, because putting in 8 to 10 hours this and then getting out in our parties, all we're talking about is stock. I would like, I want to be completely cut off. That's the only way you survive. I started 5 years ago and I had a lot of friends that were trading at Discord services. They're on all gone. All of them. I don't think they were bad traders. I just think they didn't have balance. And when I say balance, people are thinking I'm saying go on vacation, watch TV. I'm talking about just cutting off from trading.
That
So
yeah, that is very important because I used to be that person. I would be trading in the morning and then in the afternoon I'm gonna be learning, watching videos, reading books, and then when I meet with people, all we're talking about is their trading, and it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. And then the crazy part is you are talking to people who are not necessarily interested into learning their trading.
yeah, they're
Just
interested in making money.
they just want to know how to make the money. And you are telling them, no, it's not about making the money. You have to get into this and then expect to go at least 3, 4 years of of the learning curve without making money. And the minute they hear that, they are turned off. And
Yeah,
they are
I tend to do the same thing. I give so I have people in my group that make 100K. I had someone who made $42,000 yesterday. I don't want to be going around telling people that, because guess what? They hear that number, that's their baseline now.
right,
They're not thinking, yo, how long was he working for? How much cap? No, none of that. Oh, he made 42. How can I make 42K? Like, that's why, like, the kind of person I am, I'm a very simple person. I barely post online on my personal profile. I like to stay low key. It helps
yep,
me stay focused. Because if I'm telling you, you got to stay away from all this noise, all this flash, and then you're telling everyone around you what you do, you're not taking the pressure from everyone on
right,
when to buy, what to like. I still get messages from people, the few people, when should I buy? Is the market bottom? Do you really think I know if the market's bottomed? Do you think if do you think anyone knows market's bottom? No one
nobody.
knows. And that's like what you need to know is how much you're going to lose if you're wrong and how much you're going to make if you're right. That's all you need to know to be a good trader. You don't
Right.
need to know anything else. And that's called risk management. People portray themselves on Instagram and Twitter that they know. And that's where the problem starts. So then I'm like, okay, this guy knows. Let me just go follow. Then I'll know too. So that's called blind walking the blind.
So, do you think your personality helps you become a better trader, or do you think being a trader is helping you become a better person?
So when I became a trader, it was a process. I never thought I wanted to do this full time, by the way. I was like, this is a nice thing to do on the side. Then whenever market opens back, I'm gonna go back to my immigration. I just couldn't get out because I fell in love
Right.
because I worked corporate all my life and I was tired of dealing with people. I'm pretty sure anyone that's worked, like after one point, you're like, I'm done with taking escalations, working on weekends, not having days off, asking for vacation. So the big thing for me was when I became a trader, all my toxic traits started coming out in the form of mistakes in trading. So I'll give you an example. I have a problem of being indecisive sometimes, right? That in trading meant that my stop is getting hit. I can't make a decision. See, in
Correct.
options, if you don't make a decision, the market will make the decision for you and take you to zero. So then what I did, I had to set rules around it. Trading not only exposed all the bad habits, all the toxicity I had in terms of doing some things wrong, it also showed me how to fix them. And once you're doing a proper job in trading, you're going to apply the same principles in everything. So I've never been healthier than this in terms of like barely drinking alcohol because your mind needs to be sharp.
All
eating
right.
junk food, cutting sugar, sleeping 8 hours. Anything I take now, I apply the same principles. Everything. Like I've been very organized, structured, and so it changed me because money shapes your behavior. And
All
then you
right.
see one aspect of your life completely changing, you start applying the same logic to everything else too. So it's helped me a lot.
Okay. So if you have to go back 5 years ago, what is the best advice you could give yourself when you're getting started, knowing everything you know now?
Honestly, I followed this advice and I'll give it to people too. Stop talking before you get results. A lot of us just talk, 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 and don't get anything done. Low key, go underground, spend 6 months building one skill. It doesn't have to be trading. Figure out what you want to do, figure out what makes you money, go freelance, do whatever, but just put your head down. You don't need to tell everything on Instagram every 5 minutes or
Mhm.
tell your friends because look, most people are in a circle where they don't want to belong to. They just don't know that. If you,
Right.
let's say, are hanging out with everyone that makes 100K a year, but then you're shouting out $1 million ideas, most people are projecting their insecurities on you because they might not be thinking $1 million. They're happy with 100K. So you need to now find people that are making $1 million. For me, I worked a job all my life, then corporate, then business. I went read books. So the second thing I would say is put 6 months low key, start reading books. Any grab like so trading related, fitness related, whatever you want to be. My three favorite books that I read was Trading in the Zone, Market Wizard, and Psychology of Money. Bro, I learned everything I know about trading from there. The first 6 months, I was following people on Twitter based on how many followers they had, and
Right.
there was so much ego and pride, and they
Mhm.
would fight over everything. But then I read these books. I'm like, these guys are making 400, 500 million for their funds, and they're essentially saying, I just follow a system. I know nothing. And anytime I don't follow the system, I lose. I'm like, okay, who's right? These guys are verified people.
Right.
Like they've made that much. They work for Goldman Sachs or all that. So that's the second thing I would tell people. That's the advice I followed. And then the third and the last one, if I could tell myself this one, comparison is essentially poison.
Uh-huh.
You'll never be happy because there's always going to be people above you and there's always going to be people below you monetarily. It's what I'm talking about. Just low key, head down, focus on being better than yesterday. It's hard because we live in a society where everyone's doing their best on Instagram, Twitter. And so
Uh-huh.
you feel like, am I the only one that's not gone on a trip? You don't know what's happening in the back end, right? So those are the three things I would say.
Right. Yeah, comparison is a killer of dreams, especially within our generation. People always want to compare themselves to other people, and everything you see on Instagram, trust me, it's not true. Everything people are actually trying to portray on Instagram, most of them, it just to showcase that they are living this life that they are not even able to actually afford. So one other question: what is your favorite setup for you to trade that you like to trade the most?
So I call that an A plus setup.
Mhm.
And the whole point of calling it an A plus setup is because technically it has the best risk reward, meaning if you're wrong, you're going to lose $1, but if you're right, you're going to make three. So that
Okay.
means you can go heavy in terms of position size. Second thing, it has a lot of flow, meaning unusual buying coming from unusual whales, not unusual, sorry, institutions. I'll give you an example. We shorted Palantir. I'm up
Mhm.
200% on it. There's $20 million in puts for next week on it. So that's my A plus setup. And then the last thing is the market environment supports it. What I mean by that is imagine buying calls last week where tariff stuff was going on, everything's so bearish. I wouldn't do anything against the market environment. I don't want to be the bottom caller.
Right.
That's not like you could do that with small sizes, but money's made with big size with the right risk management. So that's my favorite setup.
Okay. And what is the setup you will never touch, or you did trade in the past but you wouldn't trade anymore?
I touch it, and every time I touch it, most of the time I lose money. And I'm saying like maybe twice a year I'll take those setups because I'm like, you know what? It's just they're called breakup setups. And some people make their entire life on that. It's essentially when a key level breaks, you
Mhm.
go, if you read the book Market Wizards, it talks about when you have a overcrowded trade, which is breakout trades. For instance, Amazon 200 level was the most key levels 4 or 5 months ago, and Jeff Bezos was selling there. It broke 200 like 11 times and failed every single time. And essentially, what happens is once it breaks 200 in options, because everyone's watching it, the premium gets expensive. You get in, it falls back, you get stopped out, then it goes back up. So it doesn't only mess up with your money, your mental capital too. You're exhausted. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I avoid those setups.
But yeah, these are all actually pretty good. And from your experience, if you have to sum up your journey with day trading, so that people who are getting started could have some sense of hope and like they could be prepared to enter this business, what would you say to everyone watching?
So the way I sum this up is when you work for a job in most businesses, there is a standard procedure that you follow, SOP, right?
Right.
Standard operating procedure. When it comes to trading, you don't need to have one, which is why most people don't have one and blow up their account. You need to treat this as a business. So a business has a rule book. It has an SOP. Make sure you create your SOP based on your limitations and your strengths. If you don't do that, the punishment isn't that you're going to get fired or written up. It's basically you're going to be out of business. So treat this like a business. And in business, money is made when there's risk management. That's essentially, I would say.
Yeah, having the rules, having the plan, and waking up every morning, being just following the rules of that strategy. So for me, that was the point where I turned the corner. Remember, in the past, I was basically a break. I was a losing trader for a long time, for a long, long time. Then I became a break-even trader, and when I became a break-even trader, I was making money, but most of the time I was losing big because I was deviating from my
That-
rules.
Yeah.
And my rules is essentially trading stocks that are up at least 20% in a day, stocks between 2 and $20 a share, less than 10 million float, and have breaking news. And every time I was trading those stocks, I was fine. I was still losing money, but my risk was manageable. I was basically losing what I was thinking I'd be losing anyways before I entered the trade. But every time I was getting outside of that box, trading penny stocks, for example, less than $1 or less than $2, most of the time I was right. And also trading stocks above $20, the spread are so big, they move up and down so fast that I couldn't really manage my risk much better. And when I read those metrics, I understood it wasn't about me not knowing what to do. It was more about me going outside of my rules. And once I got this back in line, as you said, having your SOP in place and having every rules of that SOP to follow, I'm still losing money now, but now my accuracy is 60% and my profit to loss ratio is 2 to 1. So basically I'm making more than I'm losing, and I am in the green. That
That's
is
awesome.
yeah, that is very important. So if people want to find you and reach out to you, where could they find you? I'm gonna link all of the information down below so that anybody that wants to reach out that could find you easily.
So on my Instagram, you can follow me. My Instagram handle is I am Moh Suri. So that's my name and I am before that. And you can look me up on YouTube with OTB Clubhouse.
Right, sounds good, brother. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. It was a pleasure. I
Awesome.
thought,
Thanks for having me.
peace out.
See ya.